The chill in the air cut through my jacket as I walked down the desolate street on Friday the 13th. I couldn't shake the feeling that something ominous lurked in the shadows, waiting to pounce on my deepest fears. I tried to dismiss the superstitions surrounding this day, but the unease in my gut refused to be ignored. As I turned the corner, the flickering streetlights cast eerie shadows that danced along the walls. A cold wind whispered through the skeletal branches of the trees, creating a haunting melody that sent shivers down my spine. The air seemed charged with an otherworldly energy, as if the night itself were holding its breath, waiting for something dreadful to unfold. I quickened my pace, the echo of my footsteps amplifying the silence around me. Glancing around, I saw a dimly lit antique shop with a flickering open sign. Curiosity overcame my trepidation, and I decided to step inside, hoping the warmth and light would provide some solace. The bell above the door jingled as I entered, and the shop seemed frozen in time. Dust-covered trinkets adorned the shelves, each one carrying a mysterious history. The air felt heavy with the weight of forgotten memories, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. An old shopkeeper emerged from the shadows, his eyes piercing through the dim light. "Welcome, traveler," he croaked, his voice echoing through the empty space. "On this night, the boundaries between our world and the unknown thin. Be cautious of what you seek, for the spirits are restless." I chuckled nervously, dismissing his warning as an elaborate act. But as I explored the shelves, my eyes were drawn to an ancient-looking mirror tucked away in a dim corner. Its ornate frame exuded an unsettling energy, and I found myself drawn to its reflective surface. As I gazed into the mirror, my reflection began to warp and contort. Horrifying images flashed before my eyes, shadowy figures, twisted faces, and scenes of unspeakable horror. I tried to tear my gaze away, but an invisible force held me captive. The temperature in the room plummeted, and the shopkeeper's warning echoed in my mind. The mirror seemed to be a portal to a realm of nightmares, and I was powerless to escape its clutches. Panic set in as I realized I was not alone in the reflection. Ghostly figures emerged from the depths, reaching out with spectral hands. Desperation consumed me, and I screamed for release. The shopkeeper's voice cut through the chaos, chanting an incantation to seal the mirror's dark magic. With a deafening crack, the mirror shattered, and the apparitions vanished into the void. Gasping for breath, I found myself back in the quiet, dusty shop. The shopkeeper nodded solemnly, his eyes filled with a knowing sadness. "Beware the temptations of Friday the 13th, he whispered, "for the darkness that lies beyond seeks to ensnare the unsuspecting." I stumbled out of the shop, the night air feeling colder than ever. The once familiar streets now seemed alien, and the echoes of the supernatural encounter lingered in the recesses of my mind. As the clock struck midnight, I couldn't shake the feeling that the horrors of Friday the 13th were not confined to superstition. They were a tangible, malevolent force waiting to test the boundaries of our reality. The ominous clouds hung low in the sky as I ventured into the heart of the Forsaken Woods on Friday the 13th. The trees, gnarled and twisted, seemed to whisper malevolent secrets that sent shivers down my spine. A path, overgrown with thorns and obscured by the encroaching darkness, beckoned me forward as if guided by an unseen force. I stumbled upon an ancient, dilapidated mansion that loomed in the shadows, its windows like vacant eyes watching my every move. Despite every instinct screaming at me to turn back, a morbid curiosity compelled me to enter the decaying threshold. The creaking door swung open with an unsettling moan, and a cold draft welcomed me into the abyss within. The air inside hung heavy with the stench of decay, and the only sound was the echo of my hesitant footsteps against the dusty floor. Flickering candles cast flickering shadows that danced with a life of their own, creating a macabre ballet that played out on the walls. As I ascended a grand staircase, the temperature plummeted, and an ethereal voice whispered from the shadows. recounting tales of tragedy and despair that echoed through the ages. Unseen hands brushed against me, chilling my skin, as if the very walls of the mansion were alive with spectral energy. In the heart of the mansion, a room revealed itself, adorned with tattered curtains that billowed in an unseen breeze. A sinister presence lingered, manifesting itself in the form of a shadowy figure with hollow eyes. It beckoned me closer, an invitation to witness the horrors that unfolded within the room's dark recesses. A series of haunting images played out before me, a ghastly procession of figures trapped in a never-ending nightmare. Their anguished faces bore witness to the torment of Friday the 13th, a day that marked their eternal suffering. The air thickened with sorrow, and the room seemed to pulse with an otherworldly heartbeat. I tried to flee, but the walls of the mansion shifted and twisted, trapping me in a labyrinth of despair. The shadowy figure advanced, its outstretched hand reaching for my very soul. Desperation fueled my escape, and I tore through the winding corridors, each turn leading me deeper into the mansion's malevolent heart. As the clock struck midnight, the mansion seemed to exhale a collective sigh, and the malevolent energy dissipated. I emerged into the clearing outside, the woods now silent as if the very earth held its breath. Haunted by the harrowing experience, I stumbled back into the moonlit night, forever changed by the horrors witnessed within the mansion's walls. The stories whispered by the trees took on a new weight, and the malevolent secrets of Friday the 13th became an indelible mark on my soul, a chilling reminder that some nightmares are not bound by the waking world. The moon hung low in the ink-black sky, casting an otherworldly glow over the deserted carnival grounds as I cautiously stepped through the rusted turnstiles on Friday the 13th. The dilapidated rides creaked and groaned in the silence, their once colorful lights now dull and flickering like dying embers. A distant whisper of a carnival melody played on a phantom calliope, the notes twisted into an eerie tune that sent a shiver down my spine. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, broken only by the distant wail of the wind through the skeletal remains of forgotten attractions. As I explored the desolate carnival, an inexplicable nostalgia washed over me, as if the spirits of joyous laughter and carefree screams still lingered in the air. I stumbled upon a weathered ticket booth, its window caked with a film of dust and neglect. With a hesitant breath, I reached out and brushed away the grime, revealing an old ticket stub that bore today's date, Friday the 13th. A sudden gust of wind carried the ghostly laughter of children, echoing through the empty rides. I turned to see the Ferris wheel, long abandoned, now spinning with phantom riders. The decrepit roller coaster rattled to life, its skeletal frame clattering along the tracks as if propelled by the spirits of long-lost revelers. Dread consumed me as the carnival came alive with spectral lights and echoes of a celebration long past. The rides moved with a sinister purpose, their creaks and moans forming a dissonant symphony that echoed through the empty night. The ghostly laughter morphed into anguished cries, a haunting reminder of the forgotten souls trapped in the eternal nightmare of Friday the 13th. A flickering carousel beckoned me toward its skeletal horses, their glassy eyes reflecting the torment of countless yesterdays. As I approached, the air thickened with a malevolent force, and the carousel spun faster and faster, its lights flashing in a hypnotic dance. I tried to flee, but invisible hands restrained me, pulling me toward the heart of the carnival. The once dormant games erupted with macabre life, their prizes now grotesque tokens of the damned. A chilling voice whispered through the wind, recounting the tales of those who dared to venture into the carnival's haunted embrace on this cursed night. The carnival's spectral celebration reached its crescendo as the clock struck midnight. The rides screeched to a sudden halt, the lights flickering out, and the echoes of the ghostly revelry faded into an oppressive silence. I stood alone in the darkness, the air heavy with the weight of the supernatural encounter. As I stumbled away from the forsaken carnival grounds, The moon cast a pallid glow on the twisted metal and decaying wood. The laughter of the lost souls lingered in the night, a haunting reminder that on Friday the 13th, the line between the living and the dead blurred, and the ghosts of joyous moments past came back to reclaim the echoes of their forsaken celebration.